We're at the Jamaica Ski Club here in Portmore, Jamaica, and we have Ben Hustwaite, the 19-time world shotgun champion. Ben, you have been coming to Jamaica for a number of years now to train our shooters, to take them from whatever stage they are to the next best stage that they can be. And we have seen the benefits of your coming over here for these number of years, because our shooters have gotten better and better on the world stage and are now at a place where they can hold their own. You're back to do more fine-tuning and training of our shooters. Tell me, what is your plan this time around?
As you said, I think for the first time, they're now a force to be reckoned with whilst travelling. So it's now bringing in that next element of not just learning to shoot, but learning to win. You know, it's okay having the ability to shoot very well. You've then got to learn the mental side of things, where you've got the ability to finish that event off and win. And some people react very differently while shooting for, say, under the Jamaican flag, like whether they shoot as an individual or as a Jamaican team, say at the World English that's coming up in April. Is understanding that some people deal with that differently. It all comes down to the investment in the sport that Jamaica are putting in. You know, bringing me over is an investment into the sport, so I have to fulfill what they bring me in to do, and that's only going to be I'm going to be judged on the results of the shooters. You know, so the pressure goes both ways. So I try and instill as much information as I can. If you look at Christian Sasso, so I taught Christian for the first time 22 years ago, and I've just seen him grow and grow and grow and grow. Chad Zadie now, who's probably, you know, borderline number 1 and 2 over here with Christian. And again, I taught him from a youth all the way through to the champion he is now.
When we hear talk about Christian, we hear all the time that he's a natural shooter. Yes, he does training, not as much as some others.
I disagree with all that. I don't think nobody's a natural. You'll only ever get out what you put in. Yes, you may not practice now, but the practice has been over the years. Yeah, you don't just wake up, be born. Like my son's in there. He's 4 months old. He won't be a natural because I'm good. I can make him good if he wants to be. I hope he doesn't. If he wants to do something else. But there's no natural shooters.
You mentioned 22 years ago with Christian Sasso. What are some of the things, the fine-tuning things you've had to teach him over the years?
Again, Christian, you know, dominated over here for a number of years. He won all Jamaica year after year after year after year. And then the first time you travel abroad and you believe that success is going to continue, and bang, you hit a wall. You find out that number 1 in Jamaica wasn't number 1 on the big stage. So that's a crash to the mental game and a knock to the confidence. So you're trying to teach them, look, this is part of the process. We're now going to stay number 1 in Jamaica and keep climbing the ladder whilst we travel. And that's just going to be just chipping away. This is not going to be a block. You know, you're not going to jump to the top. You're going to have to climb. And I just watched, I didn't go to the shoot, but I watched Christian just win a shoot off against 2 highly ranked shooters in the world, and he beat them head to head.
Who are some of the other shooters that you've seen over the years who have grown to be outstanding international shooters?
Again, it's understanding what you're going to judge them on. So, you know, when I first came over here, Joey and Jerry Chin brought me over, and Eddie DePaz, and they continue to travel. You look at Craig Simpson. Craig's shooting very, very well and very consistent. So I judge people not on that they've got one good performance in them, is that they can consistently perform at a level. Anybody can have a golden moment and you think they've made it. They haven't, they just had a good day. So my judging on people on whether they've made it or not is that they raise their goal consistently and stay good once they're good.
You've been coming over here for so long that you can do a really good assessment of our shooters, because you've taken them from the early stages. What are some of the changes you've seen in them over time?
So a lot more discipline in their training. You know, before I would come out here and it would just be pack after pack after pack after pack after pack, thinking quantity. I see a lot more quality training, a lot more quality practice, where people are actually leaving the shooting complex a better shot than they arrived, which probably wasn't the case when I started to arrive. So they're putting in a lot more effort. A lot of them communicate with me more when I'm not here. So you start to see that discipline and the want to be better. And the confidence starts to come out. So yeah, I mean, there's some big changes. And you know, if they pick their top 5 shooters to go to the World English, they're probably not going to beat the Americans and the English, let's be honest. But if those 5 perform, they could get the first ever medal.
time around, you've been away. We've not seen you in the past 2 years
Yeah,
because of
the pandemic, yeah.
And having come back now, you've already done some lessons. What have you seen?
I get a huge improvement. Almost a bit of a reshuffle on the lessons that I was going to bring, because in those 2 years before, I would come over, teach them something, and they would just stagnate to that level. And then I would come back and they'd be where I'd want them to be. And this time, even though I've not been here, the level's risen, which is a huge compliment to the shooters.
Just mentioned that you've had to change up some of the things you plan to do. Describe, and we're going to see you in a lesson in a little while, but what is it like to work with a shooter who is decent and you're really going to move them to the next stage?
Every one of my lessons is tailored to the individual, so it's not going to just, you don't just come in and teach one thing. You know, a D-class shooter might be working on their movement and more of their fundamentals, and then you get a good shooter where you're starting to work on the fine tuning at the end, which can be timing, hand positioning, footwork, speed, the assessment of lead and clarity of how far the shotgun needs to be ahead of the disc that they're shooting at.
We have seen more and more females come into the sport in recent times, and some of them have been outstanding over time. What is your recommendation for increasing that cohort here?
I think when we say females, we must understand that the increase in females that I've seen are youngsters, not older females, so they need to be managed well. The problem when you get a female shooter is that every shooter in the world is an expert and feel they can help them, unfortunately. So, 100 different things is bad. If I was the parent of that child, I'd be taking them away and saying, this is the only person we're listening to, and we're just going to be very polite with everybody else and say thank you, but we don't need your opinion. We've got the path that we're on, and unfortunately, you do need to manage the younger females and the older females much more differently than you do males.
We know that the mental capacity, mental toughness is really the difference between a shooter being average or being a winner. There is more and more call for strong shooters, strong athletes mentally to get to the objective that they want to get to. How do you work with a shooter who's already good technically to become a stronger shooter overall?
The first thing I do is find their weakness, find what's making them collapse. Because there's no point spending 2 hours working on what's already strong. So you have to touch buttons, press buttons, be a little bit rude in your lesson, and try and look for that reaction that fires that anxiety level to kick. And once you found that, then that's what you attack, you work it.
So you say, based on what you've seen, coming back after a break, you're happy for what you've seen in the Jamaican shooters at this time?
The shooters, yeah, fantastic. I mean, a huge increase. I arrived on Friday. I came out here for his tournament that they had, I believe, on Sunday. They had a tournament here Sunday. And they had a 55-stand tournament. And when I first arrived here all those years ago, probably 34 to 35 would have been the highest score on those targets. And Chad won it with 49. You can do the percentages on that yourself. That's a huge increase. And I don't believe anybody in the world that day would have shot 50, including me.
90-time world champion, you do have a lot to teach our shooters. But is there a stage where, as good as we are, you really don't need the lessons anymore?
Whenever I watch Tiger Woods play golf, he had his coach with him.
Perfect answer. What's next based on all that you've seen for our shooters?
So for me, for the first time in Jamaica, the shooters are better than the facility. And that's hard for me to say because I love the Skeet Club with a passion. And to watch the Skeet Club not grow at the rate of the shooters, I find difficult. So there needs to be an investment in the Skeet Club's target throwing machines to bring them up to the modern world.
That's important. Anything else in terms of the physical factor?
No, I think, and I know it's easy for me to say this, and I say this after every interview, the sport's only growing because you're sitting there, not because I'm sitting here. The time you're taking out of your day to come here and interview a small sport is more important for the Jamaica Skeet Club than me sitting this side of the camera than you sitting that side. And to me, that's hugely important to thank you for what you've done for the sport.
Sporting clays is very popular in Jamaica and some of the other disciplines. Skeet, although it is Jamaican Skeet Club, it's not so popular at this time, and it happens, but certainly not as popular as sporting clays. You know the facilities and you know top class facilities. What do we need in terms of skeet?
Don't. Skeet's finished. Skeet's a dying sport. It's a dying sport worldwide, not just in Jamaica. The investment worldwide has gone downhill. Build your sporting clays facility, build your sporting clay shooters, become dominant in one field, and then branch back out. But you cannot have the same group of shooters become sporting clay shooters and skeet shooters. That's not going to happen. That's why Usain ran the 100 meters and not the marathon at the same time.
Any other comment on the Jamaican situation?
No, look, keep doing what they're doing. Be disciplined, be precise, help each other. You've got one of the best, this is going to sound disrespectful, but it's not, but I would call him my understudy in Mr. Khalil Azan. And I would trust him with any of my students worldwide to perform the task that I asked him to shoot. So to not use that guy that's available to you is pure nonsense as well.
Thank you so much. We've got to talk to Mr. Khalil Azan.
No, pleasure.
Thank you, Ben Hustwaite.
You say hello, bud?
General.
It's Uncle Khalil.
Yeah, coffee.
You look stupid.
Are you coughing again?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so you want to talk to all these strange people. Who are they? Hey, how are you?
Yeah, I do.
He can't open his eyes in the brightness.
Hey, come show the baby, the baby.
You want to say hello to the children? Just say back, please. Hello. Yes. There he is. There he is.
Wait.
Mr. Khalil Azan, Sporting Clays, Jamaica Ski Club. You're synonymous with the name. You've given a lot to the sport, and you have seen many shooters come through from nothing to achieving and being their best self. And you are a stickler for good training, and you've trained some very young ones from before they could even hold a gun. This has been your baby, and you've seen it grow. Tell me, we have Ben Hustwaite, and you ensure that he comes here to constantly sharpen and fine-tune our shooters. What's it been like to have him been a part of the program?
Well, before Ben came here, I think Jamaica's shooting had peaked. And over the years, he has brought new methods, new thinking, and he has kept up with the sport. We as a country here are limited by the amount of targets and the type of targets that we can throw. And we have to rely on us traveling as well as getting outside information to improve. But we're extremely fortunate because Ben has taken Jamaica like his baby. And he's very passionate. I mean, he has the tattoo of the Jamaica Ski Club on his back and the Jamaica flag. So you can know how passionate he is about developing shooting here. But he has also seen the rewards, so he puts more effort into it. And because shooting has progressed, the target setter is always trying to beat the shooter. It has become more and more difficult with the improvement in the traps. They can throw faster birds, they can throw different angles, they can throw curling birds, and the methods are changing. So Ben has to constantly be improving in his thinking and developing. He spends a lot of time studying the game, comparing it to other Olympic sports and so on, and he comes up with different methods. And every time he comes up with something new, he calls me and he says, I'm coming to Jamaica. He should have been here, prior to COVID, and we had to postpone his trip twice. We're very privileged to have him here, and the funny thing about it is when he was coming, I said, Ben, but after the last trip, you can't come with anything new. It's impossible. Because he has elevated the shooting and the shooters in Jamaica to a different level. But he has come with something new again, an improvement, another tool. I think this is the highest level of shooting that Jamaican shooters have achieved right now. And we just came back, a small group, not as big as we would normally expect because of the whole COVID situation, from Florida, 2 shoots. And we were right up there. For the first time, we had a shooter come third in FITAS in master class, Christian Sasso. It has never happened before. Master class is shooting against the professionals who are sponsored, and they shoot every day. And Christian has a job and he shoots infrequently. But he has had the training. He started with Ben from when he was about 10 years old. We also had, it's too many to name them, so I don't want to leave out anybody, you know. But we had achievements in every class, from juniors right up. And even with a young female shooter, Aliana McMaster, in the Zoli clock, the number of trophies she won is, I think it's about 10.
10, yes.
10 trophies. Never happened before. We had another junior there, Richard Todd, who did extremely well. And then from there, at the Jack Links, the big money shoot, every class we had places in Jamaica. And what can you ask for more? We need to continue on this track. So I'll be continuing with Ben. You know, he'll come back whenever he thinks it's the right time. What he does, you know, when he leaves here, he has a list of nobody's a number, everybody's a name. He's on the Ski Club mailing list, and he's on the Ski Club WhatsApp group. So he tracks the results. He looks at how his students are progressing, and he'll call me and say, "Look here, so and so needs help. You need to focus on that student." So he follows up on all the details. Right now we are on a high. It's a privilege to have him here, and we're now going to prepare for the World Championship. Ben feels that if we can put a team of our 5 top shooters together, that we should get bronze at the World Championship, and that's what we're going for. At this point, we can't beat the UK nor America because they have professionals representing them. But the other countries, we are right in line to compete alongside them.
So you say for Ben to come here time after time to work with our shooters, it's an excellent investment.
First of all, we would never be where we are today, and I would never be where I am today as a coach either. When he's here, you know, I'm 73 years old, but I'm right behind him every day, every hour, every minute. I don't allow him to say one word without me hearing, because that's the only way I can pass it on. And truly, we are at a level now where we are getting scholarships and grants like other sports for kids, and that's where I wanted to get to. And we are at a level where we are winning internationally.
Well, thank you, Khalid. You've
And the only thing is that as the years pass by, the traps get old. And we need the financing and the support from the different organizations to keep abreast of what is happening overseas.
Thank you, Khalid. You've answered some of my questions because you know your sport so well, so you've dealt with them. Thank you so much. We only look forward to Jamaica getting better and better at this sport.
And we thank you and the media for the exposure that you have given us over the years.
No, I would have liked to shoot or something.
Yours?
I still got weight that I shot them up.
When we do this part, okay, I want to. What part? So we've done some lessons before. We're going to put sort of the glue to it. The first 20 minutes or 40 minutes, because we're going to double it up, will be very, very difficult, and you probably won't get it. You might achieve what we're going to achieve, but you won't understand why we're doing it until we sit down and go over it. But this should really make a mass difference when we start to change back up into normality. Okay? Yeah, leave that one turn off. Yeah, away. Yeah, man, cool. Ready? My eyes sink back to the machine. Boom. Okay? You must be dead stationary. First one up.
Dead stationary.
Dead stationary. If it comes out above you, just let it go. You can see one, Bob.
See what?
Get your height. Nicely done. And again, you can do 4. One more, Bob. Make sure you see that space. See the space. See the space. Don't gamble. The other one was just felt right. We pull the trigger not even when it's way too low, yeah? We had a bit of the height roll. Okay, so you're about 2 meters in front.
Moving your gun.
So I want you to let it get a lot closer to the gun. Way in front, way in front, Jerry. Really let it get to the gun. Let it get much closer. Wait, go. Good. So we're about this far in front and this far low. Oh. Keep going. We've got to keep going. This is going to be the hardest part of the day. We're never going to do a harder lesson than this. Let it get to within 2 feet. Way in front. Miles. What? Let it get a lot closer. No. You're meters in front. Meters. Let it get a lot closer. Almost all the way to your barrel. There. How much was it? How much is the lead?
Nothing.
But we kept trying to say lead because we're doing it on feeling. Now we're going visual. Let it get all the way there again. There we go. You said straight at it. Yeah? And the reason you missed the first few is because you weren't visually seeing a space, you were feeling it. It felt right. So we just kept doing it. But that's what we're trying to get away from today, is that we're not going to be able to shoot any birds off field. We're going to get a lot more intricate with it later. Well, again, you've got a non-moving gun box. You've got to see the space. You've got to get the line right. You're too low. Pull. Yeah, what's in that space? Pull. Beautiful. Pull. Look for the space, though. Look for the space. Yes, a lot better. Go visual. We're going to lose all timing. All timing. See the space, Jerry. See it, see it, see it. Better. See it. Yeah? So this is tiny, so we're getting harder and harder with each one.
Again?
No, carry on, yeah. It's got to be flipped. Yeah? The one you missed was just somewhere.
Yeah, no, I find weird.
Yeah, because we feel it. It feels right.
Yeah.
Pull. Good, just a little high. Lower it down. Pull. That one got all the way to your barrel, didn't it? Yeah. Got all the way to the barrel and it went past us. We've got to see that space, Jerry. This is one of the harder birds, this one. Pull. Beautiful change. Excellent. Pull. Do 2. See it. Yes, sir. Pull. This one's on you. Do what you want to do or what works. That's the difference, yeah? or the dog not the lamppost, whichever way you want to see it. And I decided when lockdown started, I am going to come out of lockdown with something new. Because we can't just keep doing the same thing. And one day I took a break from it and I watched the Olympics in the gymnastics room. And I started watching it. And it was like, all I could hear was, oh, superb, but a little twist on the landing, docks up. My point comes. And I was like, well, I'm going to trust that my methods have been ingrained over 30 years, that I can leave them behind a little bit. Okay, and how I'm going to do that is, you see the number 6 sign there? How wide is that number 6 sign? Foot? Good. So 12 inches. Before, and especially in Jamaica, if you asked anybody what the lead was, it was 0, 1, 2, 3 in units of that. For you guys from today, that there is 12 leads. Every inch is a new lead. Same circuit, you stand in there, you tell me what you're going to see. Now both of your guns are set to a 60-40 impact. So if we're shooting a straight crosser, and you say 12 inches, there needs to be another number. Because there's got to be a down. Okay? Nearly every shot we're going to take, apart from going away birds, will have 2 numbers. And now, only now, we're not going to swing the gun and feel that it's there, we're going